Simone, I'm excited to be talking to you. I think going into this election, a lot of people knew that the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, run by Elon and Vivek, was something that was going to be started, something that Trump had promised. But I think a lot of people were like, I don't know. Are we going to get concrete details? What's it going to look like? How is it going to run? And in this episode, we're going to be going over all of that because it's been laid out in pretty explicit detail. So if you're like, what is this department going to do and what's it going to look like? We're going to go over that. But we're going to start or go into this by talking about the types of government waste that this is designed to get rid of.
Rage-inducing.
No, this will induce, well, it'll induce so much rage in you. Okay, so let's start with $28 million in licensing fees for green, quote unquote, camouflage pattern in Afghanistan. And that's for the Afghan army. So the Pentagon was criticized for spending $28 million on licensing fees for the lush green pattern on Afghan National Army uniforms. The problem? Afghanistan is 98% desert. So the bright color would stand out, not what you're looking for in camo. Picking a different color, say one of the many others the government already had the rights to that were already used by the American forces, plus making alterations like swapping pricey zippers for cheap buttons, which saves the taxpayers between $68.6 million and $71.2 million over the course of a decade, a government report showed. Here's another example.
You can't just criticize. If that were an employee, that employee would be not only fired, but likely subject to legal action.
You would be at a company subject to legal action for that. And I think that this is the type of thing where people shouldn't just be fired. We should be looking for who's profiting from this, because this is almost certainly somebody giving a kick out. That's just like
so screwed up. Yeah.
So absurd that
so
somebody in the government's making money.
Because you also hear these stories about people not having sufficiently good equipment, like families sending to their people overseas, to their family members overseas who are serving in the military, better equipment because the stuff that they have isn't good enough. This is really bad.
Well, okay, you want to hear something else? Paying hipsters to not smoke. When the NIH figured out anti-smoking ads weren't resonating with young adults, they decided to go straight to the source. That's right, hipsters. Or as the Commune Project called them, quote, a group focused on the alternative music scene, local artists and designers, and eclectic self-expression, end quote. The campaign spent $5 million in federal cash on commune-branded beer cozies and other swag, smoke-free events featuring indie bands, and artist-designed flyers, and more. Another initiative involved...
Wait, that doesn't work. Shouldn't the NIH only use evidence-based things? I mean, it is like the science.
No, it's a vibe-based department now, Simone. It does science, which is real science TM, not whatever we used to call science.
Oh, this hurts more than I thought it would.
Another initiative involved paying hipsters $100 to kick the habit of smoking and blog about it.
They're not going to do that. They're not actually going to do that.
Right? They just say, yeah.
I would just take $100 and be like, yeah, like when I had an eating disorder as a teen and my dad was like, you need to go to therapy. I'm like, how about you give me the money you pay to a therapist and I'll just stop being a dick about this. And he never actually paid me.
By the way, this is actually how they fixed you. You took the money that they were going to give the
therapist. No, they didn't end up giving me any money. My dad just figured out he can give me a nutrition app and I would just use that to make sure I was eating enough. But like, I had proposed to that, but that's what you propose when you plan on doing nothing and just pocketing the money. That is, that makes me so mad.
Okay, now this one makes me so mad, not because it was happening, but because it wasn't televised.
Okay.
For more than 20 years, Northwestern University researchers received National Institute of Health money to watch hamster fights. The project reportedly received more than $3 million over the course of the project. And
if C-SPAN were replaced with government-funded hamster fights, it would be like one of the top channels.
It gets better. Some of these experiments involved injecting the hamsters with steroids, then putting them in the cage with drugged rodents.
Yes. No, that is taxpayer dollars well spent.
It was only shut down because of animal activists. And I'm like, This is the thing. You didn't air it. I want to see hamsters given like steroids and amphetamines.
Well, especially if they
hamsters.
put them in costumes, the betting markets. I mean, will pickles win, or is it down to flufters? Oh my gosh.
Come on. It's amazing.
Okay. I'm here for it.
Here's one that'll get you. Empty buildings, because this is actually a big line item. Some old schools, firehouses, and offices that aren't being used anymore, but the government still holds on to them. There's about 770,000 unused buildings nationwide. This is as of 2016. The thing is that those buildings don't just sit there innocently. Instead, they require maintenance, such as basic power, lawn mowing, and pipes that won't freeze. This costs $1.7 billion every year, according to NPR, a progressive outlet, by the way. We are spending $1.7 billion a year to maintain empty buildings that the government won't sell.
I think about this a lot when we drive by vacant buildings that have mowed lawns and some lights are on. It freaks me out because I know how much people pay for mowed lawns, and we don't pay for mowed lawns.
Yeah, we don't pay for mowed lawn. What?
We're like, let's just let the grass freaking grow. We don't have the money for this. It's insane.
I mow the lawn, Simone. It takes a lot of effort, okay?
Yeah, it's really cute though when you used to like wear the kids on your back. Probably not safe, but really
They
cute.
like it. They like riding the mower.
It's great. I need to dig up that footage. Anyway.
By the way, all of this waste that I've been talking about, this is all from one article on this. Now we're going to go to a different
on the Heritage Foundation. I love their budget and spending articles.
Oh, no, we're not going to a different one. We're going to go to the Heritage Foundation one in just a bit. That's the Reader Digest one that DOGE treated.
Okay.
Printing documents nobody reads. Although the Federal Register, a daily document that outlines government proposals, decisions, meetings, and more, could theoretically be making money through its $929 annual subscriptions, a good deal of the copies are unread. Every member of Congress automatically receives a new copy every day, even though the contents are available for free and searchable online. A bill considered in 2017 estimated saving $1 million a year if the government just stopped automatically printing this.
One, nobody reads. Two, obviously you need the digital version because then you can just have AI summarize it. This is such a great example of a policy or something that began like before the internet, when people had no other option.
They had a chance to stop it in 2017 and Congress didn't.
Of course they didn't. Because someone's making money from that printing and then someone gets pissed off and then...
somebody's making money and I bet they're related to somebody in Congress or friends with somebody in Congress.
Oh, this is so bad.
Okay, well, no, you're going to keep being sad here. The International House of Pancakes got a $500,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to build an IHOP in Washington, D.C. But no, this wasn't about members of Congress getting a new place to eat or a short stack. The initiative was to create 70 full-time jobs for low-income workers who qualified for government financial assistance. So this was just to create 70 jobs for workers who were already on government assistance.
So their plan was just to make an IHOP because that's the only thing these people...
It was for people who are living this simulated government teat lifestyle. Yeah. Where they have a pretend job with food that nobody's buying so that the government can give them money and they're already on government assistance.
Why couldn't they have created like one of those cool, like that food truck hallway? It's not actually food trucks, but that like food hallway in Peru where it's like actually cool food. But I guess you'd have to have talent to do that. Oh man, that's really disappointing. Nothing against pancakes.
Be something like the incoming Trump government where all this competent, cool stuff is happening. I love that progressives are like seizing. These people are young. They can't possibly know what they're doing. And it's like, well, maybe put 2 and 2 together there, buddy. All right. So in 2015, the Super Bowl, the U.S. Census Bureau paid $2.5 million in taxpayer money to run a 30-second ad in the Super Bowl. $2.5 million. Here's another fun one. $4.3 million was spent by the National Comedy Center in Jamestown, New York, to create, and $1.7 million of that was federal grants, to create holograms of dead comedians.
Why did we need holograms of...
They just wanted to light some money on fire, progressives.
Holograms. Okay.
It's not about money. It's about sending a message.
All right. Hold on.
This is,
now we're going to go to the heritage pieces list of wasteful money.
Okay.
I am just beating you guys up today. This is
I don't
how many people are just going to drop this before they get to how the department works because they're like, I cannot handle this. Go to the if you want to skip this, you can go to the little timestamps that we put in the videos. Okay, so here are a few examples, because if you're like, okay, some of those grants were from the past. Here are a few examples of grants that the administration approved since December 2022. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, post-pandemic. All right, sort of the new world. Yeah.
45 million for a quote unquote diversity and inclusion scholarship in Burma.
In Burma, because that's going to solve their problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they said that Burma, this was the argument for it. They said Burma had a flawed judicial system with rampant corruption, but that it could probably be fixed with DEI.
Oh, DEI has fixed everything in the United States, so let's definitely export.
Okay,
that.
Here's a fun one: 3 million for girl-centered climate action in Brazil.
Girls, because guy-centered climate action is so.
No,
lame.
they needed to make it sexist.
Oh,
pointlessly sexist.
Yes, right.
Anyone who still doesn't understand that women are treated as a special and superior caste in our society by the urban monoculture is just like out of their mind.
Women don't have a great record for actual concrete achievements with regard to sustainability or climate action. So I'm a little concerned. Just in terms of like, if I were going to place a bet on someone, and they, we'll just move on, carry on before I say anything.
So they spent around $125 million, the CDC did, to fund the, quote, racial justice competency model, end quote, which, rooted in critical race theories, claims that any outcome gaps between racial groups must be caused by systemic racism. And
all right.
And forcing CRT, critical race theory, onto the medical system.
Yeah, because that had really gone well.
Here's another one: $500,000 funding an anti-Israel group that fought "quote unquote" disinformation. So basically, pro-Hamas people.
All right. Well,
we've seen those online. They've even brainwashed some like idiot people who like, oh no, Hamas are the victims.
Then, yeah. Now I know where their money. So.
Yes,
that's
from the Biden administration. I love that the Biden administration couldn't do enough to make the left happy on that stuff.
Wow.
So for example, the money was given to an organization called Men Action. Key members of the group have parroted disinformation themselves, repeating false claims made about Israel's fight against Hamas. Let's see what claims they made. Oh, so remember how I said they were pro-Hamas? And some listeners may have listened to this and said, come on, they can't possibly be pro-Hamas. You're just strawmanning them. Well, they called Hamas and the people who died in the initial attacks, quote unquote, righteous martyrs.
So
have fun, guys. Have fun. It is that bad. Okay, here's another one. There was around $300,000 spent of federal, your tax money, for a group of quote unquote diverse bird watchers.
Diverse. Oh, that's interesting.
From the National Science Foundation.
That is interesting. It reminds me of the guy who created Central Park Karen. He was himself a diverse bird watcher.
Central Park Karens. Oh yes.
So the guy who like had dog treats with him and harassed people who walked dogs.
By the way, this wasn't even created in response to any sort of evidence of bigotry or discrimination among bird watchers.
Yeah, but I mean, these days, think about it. If you're in one of these organizations and your proposed grant is not for people who are higher in the approved hierarchy of whatever oppression Olympics, right? Then you're gonna get the side eye. So they're just trying to avoid the side eye. I know why they did it. It's just,
well, hold on. The reason they said they needed the money was because they, quote, lacking a sense of community or feeling their voices are not being heard, end quote. And I think that there's like this class of
like, can't the community be about being a birder? Can't that maybe
No,
that could be the
because this is
affinity.
what you're missing, Simone. You're thinking that this is like positive actors, but this is clearly like some POC person. And I saw this at like my Stanford GSB reunion, that there is like a class of POCs in our society and in our world right now that just mostly POC women who do this, that basically do nothing but apply to like pointless grants and DEI based stuff.
Well,
And
because you can make it's a career now. You can make a career of it.
yeah, no, there's a lot of people just completely sucking off our tax dollars to survive, and they live pretty good lives. Like a lot of them are making like $500,000 a year or something like that.
Wow.
Keep in
Must
mind
be
that one was just
nice.
1 year for just one person, and that was over $300,000 they got
Oh, that's
for bird watching.
I mean, yeah.
Did you really think they were doing that much?
You know, bird watching is, I think, one of those things that you can kind of just go on forever.
Well, so what happens when you are constantly handing out government money like this? You get a little thing called inflation, okay? And we talked about this before, but I'll just go into it again. Since January 2021, the price of cereal and baked goods has risen 25%. Chicken has also risen 25%. Chicken has risen 24%. Refueling, like gas, 45%, and electricity, 31%. If you want to compare this to different presidential administrations, this is like the highest it's ever been since Carter. Go check our video where we do that, where Trump had some of the lowest increases. And so obviously this is hitting your average citizen more. So how is DOGE going to fix this? Go into it, Simone.
Right. So on November 20th, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy posted an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal outlining their plan. And already they've been really transparent about what they're doing. They have a tweet, sorry. They have an account on X where they publish updates and
stop dead naming X, Simone.
I'm sorry. It's really difficult. It's been a long run, you know, but you're right. Yeah, I shouldn't dead name it. Anyway, it has an account on X. It's very transparent. And if, by the way, you want to submit your CV to DOGE, you should do so through X. You submit a DM to the DOGE account on X. That seems to be the only way to get your resume through. Malcolm and I just assumed that someone there is going to review all the applications at once. Obviously, we submitted our CVs. It hasn't been viewed yet, just FYI. But still, just so you know, because I think a lot of people would like to contribute just like we would. So Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are the figureheads of this, of course, but they're not going to be paid by this, and they're like pure volunteers. They're doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, which is saying a lot because these people are actually very important, actually doing really important other things and have a lot of other things they could be doing with their time. But honestly, I can't imagine a more meaningful thing someone could do, especially considering our government spending now. And I mean, you threw out all these joke ideas, right? But when you look at the reality, we haven't had a balanced budget, I think, or we've outpaced our tax revenue and spending from 2002 onward. So 2001 was the last year where we didn't overspend for what we got in tax revenue. And when you look at what we spend already on things that we probably couldn't cut, like defense, Social Security, like sort of debt payments, just service on our debt, we can't really afford to not cut things at this point at all. So just, this is so important. What they're going to do is identify and hire a team of small government workers who are going to, through appointments within departments and then working with DOGE, perhaps through the Office of Budget and Management, make this happen. There are 3 things they're going to do to reduce the size of government. So the first thing is they're going to make regulatory rescissions. The second thing is they're going to make administrative reductions. And the third thing is they're going to find cost savings. So one thing they're going to do is, another thing they note in their op-ed is that they're going to drive change through executive action based on existing legislation and not create new legislation, which is awesome. So their whole principle here is take away and remove and use existing.
Hold on. Before you go further with this, I want to make a point here. So we were talking with one of the guys who wrote Project 2025, one of the lead authors of that. And they had, in the last administration, tried to fire people. And they were basically like, look, even as a lawyer who specializes in firing people for the government, it is near impossible.
Yeah.
The way that they are approaching this is so clever because it is actually really hard. And so basically they're only focusing on the areas that they can get away with firing people without any legal repercussions.
Yeah,
Continue.
no, the intelligence with which this is being approached is really exciting, and the transparency as well. Like, it is very clearly outlined in this Wall Street Journal article. So one of the cool things that they're doing, and I'm really excited about this, is they're using two key court decisions. One being Loper Bright versus Raimondo, which was only in 2024, this year, and the other being West Virginia versus Environmental Protection Agency, a ruling in 2022. To demonstrate that agencies are imposing unauthorized and unlawful regulation. So they're able to use key court decisions to be like, you can't do this anymore. So one of the things they're going to do is, like I mentioned earlier, embed personnel appointments in government agencies to sniff out and counter unlawful regulation. And they're also going to presumably leverage AI to help find things that need to be removed. So they're going to use lawyers to find regulations and just to make it clear. So laws and legislation, this is stuff that is passed by Congress. This is stuff that elected officials have put together and said, this is the rule. Regulation is what a government agency creates to execute on that law. Mm-hmm. So these are very different things. And regulatory bloat, I mean, there's a lot of legislation that has made our lives harder, but regulatory bloat is what has gone into like clown world territory, into like, this is completely insane territory, just to make that clear. So what the lawyers are going to do is sniff out regulation that clearly oversteps, that is illicit, that should not be permitted, and they're going to remove it. So all illicit regulation identified is first going to be presented to Trump, and then he's going to pause their enforcement and then initiate a review and rescission process. So basically anything that isn't right is going to be paused, and maybe it matters, right? Like there could be an Overton fence situation with some of these, right? Sorry, not Overton. There could be a Chesterton's fence situation with some of these regulations.
Oh no, I think some of these, like as soon as somebody's like, you need to start showing me receipts, it's gonna the payments are gonna stop.
You're referring to a different part of this process, which I'll get to later.
Oh, okay, continue.
So that is what the lawyers are going to do. And then at the same time, appointees in these departments who are not the legal experts are basically going to go through and functionally look at the operations of these departments and decide what is the minimum number of employees that's needed to actually get the stuff done that they need to do, like their actual mandate as organizations. Why is this important? This is important because there are basically laws in place that prevent presidential administrations from firing specific people to avoid retaliatory firings. Like, you know, every time some new administration comes into office, they fire everyone who's not loyal. So you can't do targeted firings. What you can do is massive layoffs in service of proper operation of these agencies.
Yes.
So this isn't, no one specific is going to be fired. There's just going to be massive layoffs. And so you're going to see something similar happening with what kind of happened at Twitter when Elon Musk came in and was like, well, I'm just going to get rid of like 80% of the employees. I think we only need about 20% to make this run. And he made it happen. And that's the other really clever thing about this is there used to be this perception like, well, you can't really fire government workers because it would, you know, there's these rules against retaliatory firings. You can, but it has to be massive layoffs. So that's one of the things that these appointees are going to be doing. So that is one element of it. It's basically, I'm categorizing it in my head as like department-based work. Then there's the procurement-based work. And I'm super excited about this because as you know, we, with our travel business, have done a lot of procurement responses to government agencies.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. The DEI shit.
It's not just that. So we through our travel business have responded to a bunch of state-based agencies, universities, anything from like Child Protective Services to like a commerce department to their requests for travel services. And the process it sometimes works well, usually is super corrupt, super bureaucratic. They've already chosen basically who they're going to work with. There's all this like stuff that's going on in the background. It is really screwed up. But also like procurement in general is very corrupt. As they say in the op-ed, the federal government's procurement process is badly broken. Many federal contracts have gone unexamined for years. Large-scale audits conducted during a temporary suspension of payments would yield significant savings. So I didn't know this, but they point out in the op-ed that the Pentagon recently failed its 7th consecutive audit. 7. audits, suggesting
the Pentagon hasn't known where its money is going for 7 years?
Yes, this suggests that the agency's leadership has little idea how its annual budget of more than $800 billion with a B is spent. Like, the idea that the Pentagon is failing its audits is insane. So what DOGE is going to do is basically suspend payments. And if you don't have receipts, if you can't back it up, if you can't pass an audit, then they're not going to pay for it, which I think is so eminently reasonable. And there's kind of this begs the question, why wasn't this just how things were done? Like, if you fail an audit, like if you can't give receipts, I think, you know, most people who've worked for someone else or even like been reimbursed by other people ever understand that if you can't give receipts and provide proof of how you spent the money, you're not going to get reimbursed. The fact that governmental agencies have for some reason not needed,
just like, we get asked for money when we want money.
Yeah, just like money, please. Just always. That's
money,
not how it should work.
please.
Yes, that should not be our government. So I'm super excited about the procurements work. That is.
We need to have a "they are the worst" line here too.
They are the worst. Oh my god. Oh, it just drives me so crazy. And then the third thing that DOGE is going to do is target the $500 billion plus in annual federal expenditures that are unauthorized by Congress. So this is another one of those things where they don't have to go through Congress to get this done. This is another matter in which they don't have to get Congress to approve of what's going on. This is not money that Congress has control over. It's just federal spending, and that can be easily cut in many ways. There's just a wide array of programs that are associated with this. So this is all going to happen, by the way, over 18 months. And then it's over.
I love that this isn't a permanent program either. They're not adding more government bloat. They're like, okay, we're going to have a limited program here. It's going to run for this long.
And then it sunsets. It sunsets on July 4th, 2026, which is just a great way. That is our Independence Day in the United States. So it's romantic. It's lovely. It's fitting. I am so excited.
We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interests. Perhaps it's fate that today is the 4th of July, and you will once again be fighting for our freedom from tyranny, oppression, persecution. We're fighting for our right to live, to exist.
I mean, I'm even more excited after the ridiculous spending stories you shared, but
I want to not just get hired by this department. I want to get hired by this department and then go to other countries and implement this program. Every country needs to fucking implement this program.
And should we win the day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
This has been, so we're seeing, God, hold on.
I mean, Argentina has been doing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was Argentina. Argentina is already into this process, and it has already helped immensely with their inflation. So, I mean, the wave is growing, right? Like, it's beginning. It's starting. We just have to, it has to get done.
Well, we've also got to be very careful about this. And this is something I saw by another popular right-wing YouTuber who I like, Ark something. He's mostly a Warhammer guy, and now he's like a right-wing Warhammer guy. I don't know.
That checks out.
Anyway,
okay, fine.
He was saying recently when doing a talk over an Asmongold video, who's a centrist, i.e. extreme rightist by everyone else's standards. Well,
he's the guy who goes over the news, right? Who just seems like a nice
he just
guy.
like watches stuff and talks over it. So this is the guy talking over a guy who's talking over news.
God.
Can I say how disappointed I am that Asmongold has never done any of our content before?
I don't know. Give it time.
But anyway, so Asmongold, so they were he was saying now that we are in ascension, because this was on like the vibe shift that has happened post the Trump election, and there has been a vibe shift, and we should probably do a video on it.
Oh yeah.
He was saying that like now we have this vibe shift where the anti-woke faction is in ascension, and the woke faction is no longer like obviously dominant in every respect. They're still dominant in a lot of respects. They still control a lot of positions of power at major corporations. They still control the news media, but nobody listens to that anymore. It's all being like sold off for scrap metal.
And there ain't nothing you can do about it. Pardon me while I panic!
Don't have the heart to live in the fast lane. All that is past and gone.
But I need to have a thing here from the brave little toaster at the chomping.
God, it's such a stressful movie. Who can handle that movie? Man, I'm having like the shakes just thinking about it. Don't do
It's
this
the
to
worst
me.
thing you remember if you rewatch it.
Oh God. Oh.
I took the kids on the skids with the hope he was happy till I heard him say, you're worthless.
But anyway, he was saying that now that we are in ascension, the left only controlled the sort of like popular narrative in this country, like the urban monoculture as we call it, only controlled things for about 10 years before losing it. It's one of the shortest lengths of time that any culture has ever controlled things.
Well, it's from top to bottom unsustainable and toxic. It's
they went mad with power so quickly in terms of enforcing their way of life on other people.
Well, and any culture that eats itself in the way that it did, that attacks its own so systematically in the way it did. I mean, they just ran out of people.
That's the core of the problem. The problem is imposing their cultural values when they are unpopular and stupid on people in different cultural groups. And parts of the right now, and this is something that we need to take in mind as we become the dominant faction in this country or potentially in the world, is we need to not overstep in the way that they overstepped.
Oh yeah,
and any part of the right that attempts to or thinks they're signaling status by doing that needs to be stomped down so hard in the way that the left should have been treating the trans groomers. Whenever one of these trans groomers, like whenever they were like, oh, it's okay to, and I'll put the skit here by Freedom Tunes, to be, you know, teaching your kids something, then the parents are like, can I see the curriculum, the sex ed curriculum? Oh no, we can't show you that. What? Why don't you want to show the parents?
Teddy, a 32-year-old public school teacher who says they like to help children explore their sexual identity.
Why don't you take a seat over there?
I'm tutoring.
Tutoring? Is that why you sent a curriculum to this 12-year-old girl and told her not to show her parents?
Yeah, I'm teaching her about sexuality.
A lesson about sex she can't share with her parents. I mean, you understand how this sounds, right?
They would try to censor it.
So I suppose you wouldn't mind if we educated ourselves with it now.
Now, why does this curriculum you sent include illustrations of minors engaged in lewd acts?
I mean, come on, Ted. You've been on our watch list for a while, bud. What? Are you serious? This is... Wait just a minute. Intimidating educators like that, for shame.
Like, the left should have, when this shit was going down, been like, excuse me? Why are you hiding your sex ed curriculum from parents? That seems like a problem. The right needs to be acting the same way for stuff that is equally unpopular.
Yeah.
Among the general populace, or we will not be able to maintain this position of cultural hegemony.
Hegemony.
Well, do you have any final thoughts on all this, Simone, or?
I hope we can get jobs. I don't. So, like, you know what? I have documented experience disappointing people in Washington, D.C. because one of my jobs at the cupcake shop at Georgetown Cupcake was to go out whenever like a flavor ran out. And it was like, you know, below freezing and people had been waiting in line for 2+ hours for their favorite cupcake. I was the one who would go out and tell them.
Happen. She went to like a viral cupcake shop that had a reality show about it. And
yeah.
We ditched our corporate jobs to follow our dream.
One hot cupcake shop.
We'll wait in line for over an hour for our cupcakes.
It's TLC's delicious new drama.
This is the worst flavor that we've ever made. What do you want me to do?
And I would tell them that red velvet was out. I would tell them that pumpkin spice was out. And I would do it with a smile. And I am happy to fire people in mass. And I mean, already like people hate us. Like, what do we have to lose? I'm here for it.
Oh,
And
I live off of their hate. You know, like Tinkerbell? You know Tinkerbell? Where everyone's like, I believe in Tinkerbell.
yeah.
I believe in Tinkerbell. And she's getting back her powers. All of the lefties online, I hate the Collinses. I hate the Collinses.
It gives
And
you, it's like
literally,
children
slowly
clapping.
coming-
Oh, that's sweet. That's very sweet. No, I mean, and keep in mind, they do mention in the Wall Street Journal article that they plan on setting up retraining programs and other programs to help these people find jobs. I don't like the idea of people losing their jobs. And also, most government workers I've come into contact with are great and talented people. But honestly, their lives are being ruined by, what they're doing. And also, we have to remember, as we think about jobs that are being lost and eliminated now, just how many jobs are being prevented by this regulation right now. So the guys on All In, on the All In podcast, are talking about this in the Wall Street Journal article, and they were talking about how this bloated regulation disproportionately hurts people on the front lines and people who are less wealthy and of lower means. They were pointing out how it costs like $7,000 to become a hair cutter in the United States. Like to be able to cut hair, just like the regulatory bloat that goes into that now, that makes it prohibitively difficult for people to just do basic professions. I freaking cut your hair in like the back of our house every 2 weeks or so. But if I were to do it for money, the amount of money I would have to put down would like throw us back for months in terms of being able to afford food, things like that. It's insane. So, people this is going to be unpopular, right? There are going to be mass layoffs. People are going to have a ton of butthurt about it. And a lot of people's lives will be severely disrupted by it. But at the same time, already millions of people's lives
are going to be
millions of people's lives are being ruined by this. Millions of people's lives. They're not able to work. They're not able to feed their families. They're not able to start businesses or get jobs. They
went into lines of work that were designed to parasitize the American taxpayer.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the thing. We have friends in this category. I have friends in this category, and they tell me, oh, yeah, I've spent the last year, I get paid like $250,000 a year, and I wrote this report, and I know nobody's going to read the report.
Yeah,
my job is writing reports about the environment.
Yeah, they're like, but I enjoy it, so who cares? And it's like,
and it's like, look, like I like you as a human being, but like that like you shouldn't have this job, right? Like it's terrifying that the federal government is burning taxpayer money like this.
Well, and this is a tragedy of the commons issue. Like we're talking about a field here that is some kind of natural resource that is being drained. Like we are going to run out of money to pay Social Security. We're going to run out of money to maintain basic infrastructure. Like the nation is going to start to crumble.
We won't even be able to mass euthanize the elderly when we need to.
We'll have
to walk around with a pellet gun like they do at like farms where they can't waste a bullet on the bulls. That's where we're gonna be.
It's bad. And it just, so I mean, like continuing to do this is less humane, very technically and very realistically, than mass firing people. And keep in mind, like a lot of these people are going to end up, they're going to pressure people to leave their jobs through early retirement incentives. They're going to, one of the things they're going to do, which is smart, although I still hate office work in general, but obviously we'll gladly show up anywhere where people want us if we can serve. But they're going to say, well, you know what, if you don't want to come into the office, then you can't work here anymore. It's 5 days a week or nothing. And that's going to lead to a lot of layoffs, or sorry, not layoffs, but independent quits. Anyway, because people are so used to working from home and they don't want to go into an office, and that's understandable. So they're going to go this or do this as nicely as they can. They're going to try to like do the breakup version where you just kind of act like a dick boyfriend and then like hope that she leaves you. They're going to incentivize people to retire early, and then they're going to mass lay off people. But anyway, this is so important. Again, if you want to be involved, like if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm happy to move wherever I need to go and put in 80 hours a week and do what it takes to help in this 18-month initiative, which is going to change the course of the future of our country and the world. Because if this works in the United States, it's going to be replicated elsewhere. Submit your CV to the DOGE X account. We have done it. We hope to serve. We hope that you hope to serve too, if you are competent and able to contribute in some way. So please do so.
Exactly. And we've also let our contacts know it was in the department, but they seem a little too high level to be involved in hiring, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. So who knows? I wonder who it is actually going to be.
Yeah, I wonder who's
putting these
actually
decisions.
making these decisions.
Yeah, like who's making these decisions? I mean, it's hard because like you are one of the most qualified people I could imagine to do this. Also, your brother, he'd be amazing at this.
Absolutely.
So,
Or his
like,
wife.
I'm like,
You know what? Do you
oh,
know?
she'd be. She could do the whole thing by
So
herself.
my brother's
but
wife
she's
is a very.
the government can't afford her, Malcolm. I'm sorry, they can't afford her. She's too.
No,
important.
but what she used to do in her spare time when she had another job. So I can't remember. She acquired some company or something, and she'd sit around just for fun and listen to random service people's calls to fire people who weren't doing a good enough job at their service jobs.
She does not accept mediocrity.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, like it sucks because I know that you would be amazing, and I'm also like I don't know how you're gonna. But I know like there are not that many people in the world who would do as good of a job at this as you would, and I'm like, how do I just get you hired for
I mean,
this?
there's
But I
other
don't know
things
how.
we'd be better at, working in the whatever the education department is, working in the
The American Academy, but
the NIH.
no one knows what that's going to be yet. So anyway, I hope we can get in. If you're listening to this and you're hoping to get in, and you're trying to find inroads to email us through our foundation, and I'll put you on a list of people to inform if we learn of anything more concrete on how to like say, I'm doing my part. I'll sign up. But yeah, right now, all I can say is go to x.com and search DOGE and submit your CV, which you can't even do in PDF form. You have to send an image file. So, whatevs.
Wait, you have to submit an image file?
Yeah. So I switched them to PNGs. It's fine. Yeah. I love you, Malcolm.
Yeah. Well, that's the way I feel about you, Simone. Yeah. And I've just been, by the way, like during this call, like reading like random headlines and stuff like this. And I'm like, we are in the best timeline.
Oh my gosh, isn't this exciting? Yeah, this is great. This is great.
So RFK will cut prescription drugs, increase weed and psychedelic access. This is by a hostile media outlet. I'm like, that sounds pretty good.
Well, there was some point at which he had made some kind of allusion to putting people who are addicted to ADHD medication into work camp. And like someone tweeted that like that is the worst missed opportunity in the entire world. Like the one time you could have used the term concentration camps.
The concentration camps.
Now, Kyle, I need you to be quiet. In my class, you need to be able to concentrate. Concentration is the key to succeeding in my class.
Maybe we'll have to send him to concentration camp. Damn it, Cartman!
I'm gonna have the South Park clip about that here. But also, RFK, I didn't know anything about him before this election cycle. I like him so much. He seems like such a real guy. And I also hope that people, like, I feel like a lot of people had negative opinions on Elon going into all this because they had sort of believed the random influencers who just like shitting on famous people. Like, has enough of him come through yet that you're like, oh yeah, he just sits around playing effing Diablo 4, like not even a great game. Like, do you know he's the #1 ranked player in the world right now?
No, I don't.
People aren't sure if it's him or if it's somebody he's paying, but they do know that at least he pays it a great deal, even on meetings.
Oh God. Well, everyone has their style, and that is his style. But I mean, people who bet against him don't have a great track record of winning, so I don't know.
Right? No, I think a lot of this stuff, a lot of people are beginning to be like, oh, he's kind of a bro. And it's like, we've been telling you guys that. We've been telling you that.
Yeah. And it's not like he's living for selfish reasons. His life isn't fun. He works incredibly hard. He genuinely cares about long-term human flourishing. So that's what he gets in my book. It's my seal of approval that no one ever asked for or cares about.
I think a lot of people care about your seal of approval, Simone. You're the moral center of this show.
Oh no. Well, that tells you a lot about this show's moral center. Well, I think Octavian's probably this show's moral center, actually.
I can't wait till he's a bit older. He's going to be such an awesome show.
Yeah. No, he's a bro.
I can already tell him and Toasty. Oh my God, they're gonna have so many great ideas. I am so excited to introduce you guys to them as they become like more people and better able to convey things quickly. And what great kids.
Leave Titan out of this.
Titan.
Titan, you and me were going through a rough patch.
Titan's gonna be a situation. But I am excited for my kids to replace me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same. Death is gonna be such a relief. Anyway, I love you and
love you.
Yes, goodbye. Goodbye and farewell.
Goodbye. Oh no, you cut my nose off. Oh no, you cut my nose. You cut my eyelids off. Why would you do that?
Oh my gosh, Toasty. What is going on here?
I love you, and you know that I love you.
Yeah, I do know that you love me. You're very good at being.
You put my head in the air.
Oh no, you're gonna put your head in my shirt?
Titan is totally passing out.
Oh my gosh, Titan! Oh my gosh, this is so sweet!
She had a fun day today. Toasty, you gonna finish those nugs?
No, not nugs. Dinosaur nuggets.
They're dinosaur nuggets. You're not gonna eat more Dutch baby? You should eat more Dutch baby.
Oh no, you're going in!
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh.
Stop tickling.